Welcome to Skol Chat with Skota. We are a chat group created by four guys who are a blended family, not only through the traditional familial means, but also for the love of the game, specifically for our favorite team, the Minnesota Vikings. We won't claim to be professionals, nor will we cover a lot of stats unless it is specific to the topics we'll be discussing. We are just four fans who get together to basically discuss all aspects of the team, from games, training, releases, signings, and the overall organization itself. Our name is derived from two of us who currently reside in Minnesota, and two of whom reside deep within Packer territory. This is not our livelihood, as we, like many of you, have busy lives, and what we hope to obtain are additions to our blended family by having you become a part of it. We have room to add a couple of you at a time during our airings and would like you to join us in our chat. As with any family, there will be happy times and sad times to be discussed and experienced. Although the game may only last a season, the desire for the game and the team is year-long. If you want to join us, please hit the subscribe button, follow us on YouTube, and give us either a thumbs up or a thumbs down, depending on your experience, and leave us a comment. If you'd like to join us during the show, contact us at the email link provided below.
Welcome to Skol Chat 32, the post-Super Bowl show. If you like what you see here, please like, subscribe, check out our shorts, and a special announcement. We are on Spotify, just in case somebody wants to check it out and not watch our... I mean, we kind of do have faces for radio, is not video, right? So
Yeah.
So that's just another way to kind of listen if you like what you're listening to, or, I mean, sometimes I like the sound of my voice, so I'll listen to it, most of the time in the shower.
Yeah.
And with that, well, I guess in this show, we're going to talk about just, our recap of our Super Bowl predictions, recap the Super Bowl. We'll talk a little bit of some tidbits from the Vikings off season, and it's kind of a lot of just different bits and pieces of news that came out over the last week here. Anyone have anything to add before we get started with
No, I think that pretty much covers it. What do you think, Daniel?
Oh, let's go and roll.
All right. So the first one, this is the closest that the Cowboys are going to have of being in the Super Bowl this century here. And this is how Ben Johnson and LaFleur, their handshake at postgame, that's what it's going to turn into next year. Johnson just flipping them off. I would do that.
Did he actually do that, or is that a...
No, that's Photoshop.
No, they did it after that. It was just a brawl. They just started fighting.
And then for some reason, LaFleur kissed him on the cheek. I don't know. It got confusing.
Yeah, it was weird.
So this was somebody put out, I guess, Sam Darnold from the Super Bowl. They're saying Sam Darnold in the first half and Sam Darnold in the second half. And I'll say the last couple of games in the playoff game for the Vikings, this was the first half. Sam Darnold was who was playing for the Vikings. But I don't know the blue paint. Is that supposed to be like Braveheart? I guess I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me.
Anyone ever see Key and Peele, the show that used to be on Comedy Central? And there was that bit where they'd have like the guys would introduce themselves and they just like the names would just get crazier and crazier as it went on. No,
I don't think so.
I don't think our audience will, and that's something I'll talk about here in a sec. But here's Fudge. This is like Fudge, University of Florida, for my first NIL, transfer to Texas A&M my freshman year, then signed with Michigan, but transferred to Michigan State, then got some of that Nike money my junior year. So that's basically just joking about the college guy, because now it's just free agency with the NIL deals and stuff like that, and they don't have to sit out a year anymore. So if they transfer.
Yeah.
So they're just, regular free agents.
Well, I can't believe some of them players, especially quarterbacks in college, if they're just like players, like you said, free agency, and how much money they get for going,
that's why
$9 million and whatever. So why would I want to enter the draft this year? I make more money now,
Well, and they call like the big colleges like the Power 5 colleges. So then, beforehand, it was stacked against smaller colleges. It's even stacked even more now just because the smaller colleges don't have that money. They can't, they can't pay the players. So it's just, and locally, the NDSU is going to play in the Mountain West. So they're going to play Division I for the, FCS, where they're playing FBS, which is kind of one AA back in the day. But yeah, they're jumping up for football, which we'll see how that goes. But they can't compete with even the Gophers with the
Yeah.
NIL deals and stuff. But we'll see. But I'm going to tell my grandkids that this was Bad Bunny at the Super Bowl here, and I think that's John Wayne.
Yeah. So
It does look like them.
Yeah.
And so I kind of talked about analytics earlier before we started recording. I think somebody here is going on and basically is our only audience. The audience is 100% is 65 plus.
Wow.
Really?
I'm not. Yeah, they're not.
Dad,
Are you putting it on rewind there, Dad?
I like it. Keep up the good work, Dano.
Hey, what the heck? I gotta check it out how it looks to our audience.
but just like most like primetime TV shows or anything, like, we want to get that was it the 18 to 34-year-old crowd?
Well,
The demographics we need a bigger spread than that.
I didn't know there was such a thing as that.
Yeah.
Showing you what the age group.
And I mean, I don't know how so like I said earlier, I grabbed this off my phone. They don't have this like if you go on like the desktop. So, and I don't know if it's like for a particular one, like some of them you need certain views before it gives you certain analytics. So this might be just on one of them. Who knows? But it's just something interesting that I found. Hey, at least somebody's watching, right?
Terrible. We got to step the game up, guys. What's going on?
If
So,
I'm
yeah.
guilty, I'm guilty. I don't think I am, though. Yeah. Wasn't me.
I think I was in the 30s.
Well, we can get into our recap later, but yeah, guess we'll say the score. The score was the Seahawks beat the Patriots 29-13. I don't think anybody watching this would not know who won the Super Bowl. So 29-13 was the score. The score was 12-0 going into the fourth quarter, if I'm right.
Right.
So it was a
Yeah,
barn
yeah.
burner, kind of like when I talked about when we were doing the predictions that, it was kind of like when the Rams played the Patriots that one year, where it was really low scoring. Nothing happened until the fourth quarter.
It was rough. The only thing they were handing out for free there was no doughs.
Yeah.
They're just throwing it out there.
And the commercials were
Well,
low this year too.
be honest with you guys.
That was pretty funny. Some of the commercials, they weren't terrible. You got to look forward to them.
I kind of figured the Seahawks would win. The reason why I picked the Pat was hoping that they would win because I knew what was going to go on about Darnold with the Seahawks win. So
Darnold, he sounds familiar. Darnold. His
Yeah.
first name's Sam, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Darnold, not Arnold. Darnold. But anyways, no, I didn't want to hear all this, and some of my favorite podcasters, and some of them contradict themselves about what they said last spring when Vikings let Darnold walk and whatever. And it just
I think that's, some of that reasoning we were talking about why somebody may have been fired or let go on, good term.
Before we get too far into the game, though, so if we're going by the Price is Right rules, John is the winner. 31's the lowest score for picking the Seahawks.
That's where I thought he was.
24 is what John said. Tom, you said 34-28, which then I had to go, and the point spread was what you said, 44.5? 44 and a half points, I think that's what you said, Dad. So I had to keep it within that range, 42-3. So I was way off.
Now, if I would have picked it right, I probably would have been closer to the score.
Well, yeah, you would have, because you had 30. You would have by 1 point.
Yeah.
Got to be cinnamon rolls in order for Dano to pick a closer score. Not right.
But see, I figure I leave it up to you guys. I've been outdoing you most of the way. So yeah, I thought I'd back off a little bit.
You were
Just
doing
letting
that
letting us go rogue, watching us youngsters pick some wild scores. See how it is.
Yeah.
So in the game, like we kind of talked about going into the fourth quarter, it was 12-0. Defense was the name of the game early in the game, but I think the difference throughout the game, and we're gonna hate talking about it, but it was Sam Darnold being able to move in the pocket and throw off platform and do the stuff that we thought he should be doing with the Vikings, but just couldn't do. I mean, both quarterbacks, the defenses were on them.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess we didn't see much from Diggs, the other former Viking. Didn't see much from actually Bradbury and the rest of the line. I mean, if you look at stats, like, which we
They
don't
could
want to,
they couldn't hold up.
I mean, Drake May almost threw for 300 yards, but again, they were behind most of the game. And Sam Darnold only threw for 200 yards and only completed half of his passes.
Well,
Which
they
is
ran
crazy.
the ball. They ran.
They did. Yeah. Well, they threw the ball quite a few times and they gained yards. But I tell you, they did a lot of work to not get
Well,
where they were going. It was insane.
and we talked about it with the Vikings, and we talked, like, oh, why don't they run the ball more? It's hard to run the ball more when you're not controlling the ball, when you don't have the ball. And the Patriots didn't have the ball to begin with. That's why they couldn't run.
Yeah, that's true. But then, overall, toward the end there, the Seahawks ran the ball. But then the special team played good too for the Seahawks.
I mean, that was 3/4 of the game right there.
Yeah, I mean,
That guy's gonna make bank next year. He's not taking any chump change.
yeah, I think the kicker, I can't remember his name, was it Moore? Something like that. I could be off, but he did he set the Super Bowl
He set
record for
the-
most points scored?
I do believe he did, Joe, but I do not remember his name. We were actually talking about it on Monday, and I don't remember his name off the top of my head.
And their punter, it's Myers. I knew I was close. Start with an M. But I think he set the record for most points in a season too. And their punter was, kicking the ball well too, so that really helped. But just going back to again, we don't like stats, but Kenneth Walker ran the ball 27 times by himself, and the Patriots had 18 total between all three players that ran the ball. So again, it's just a matter of controlling the ball. And that's what you got to do when you get into the playoffs, get into the Super Bowl, and you're playing a good defense. You have to have a good defense yourself. So the Seahawks defense is the reason they won the game.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Any other thoughts about that, about the Super Bowl?
Hopefully next year it'll be a little more exciting. Maybe no Bad Bunny.
Well, you got to admit the last two Super Bowls been kind of a drag,
That's because they were going back in time, and
Are we talking like just like the game itself,
Yeah.
like being competitive?
I thought he was talking to singers.
No,
The game, like talk about you needed no dose to keep away for the game. And then last year's Super Bowl wasn't as entertaining as, some in the past, so, what would make a good Super Bowl game is when you got two teams that are head to head. You know what I'm talking about? That you got the defense that's good and you got the offense that are good on both teams, really going at it. But then again, each game is different. It doesn't matter,
There's just too much money involved in football.
well, a few years ago, it was the Chiefs and the 49ers, and that went to overtime. So, there's been competitive games lately. Like I talked about, was the last? Oh, yeah, when I was giving the score prediction, there was 3 Super Bowls in a row in the early 90s where the Cowboys or whoever it was just blew out the Buffalo Bills. That wasn't fun to watch.
Right.
I think one of them, though, they had Michael Jackson as the halftime performer. So, I don't know how you feel about him, but spoken.
Songs, I like, Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
I can't say I cared for the guy's songs, but
well,
when it's American football, the leading sport in America, from probably our perspective, because we enjoy watching football, let's have a English singer. It would
Yeah, it
make
was-
sense. If you go to another country that don't speak English, but they have soccer or whatnot as their main sport for their country, let's have an English guy sing the halftime show for 80% of the country not to understand. That's my thought. They didn't even put, what do you call that, Joe? They didn't even put, words underneath them.
Yeah. If they did, they would have been fined by the FCC.
He's like, no, we're going to shut this off. Go to YouTube, watch the halftime show. They even had videos of people sitting there watching the YouTube halftime show on their phone while they're still in the stadium with the halftime show right in front of them.
Yeah. And we can go back and we can say why. Well, it's because Jay-Z's production company or whatever, Rock Nation or whatever it's called, was producing it, and so just like everything. So like I'm not sure you don't play video games or whatever, but they have Madden is the football game but it's an exclusive license with the NFL, so no other game can be made for the NFL or with the NFL teams and the NFL players because it's an exclusive deal. Well, that means the people that make the game, EA Sports, they don't have to try and they can just like it's the only game with the NFL teams in it, so they can just put out crap and people will buy it. So they have no competition, and so these exclusive deals the NFL signs, regardless of what it is it's not benefit to anyone. It's
No.
definitely not benefiting the fans of the NFL. So they need to start looking at what they're doing and Roger Goodell is probably the worst, commissioner in league history, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So I
Not the
mean,
greatest, anyways.
was it Roselle was one of the best, and then the guy who took over after him, I'm drawing a blank.
I can't remember either.
Oh dang, why can't I remember it?
But he wasn't a commissioner all that long either, though. I think something had to do with medical issues or something like that.
Yeah, he's passed, I think. Speaking of which, I think Al Davis was a commissioner at one point. Paul Tagliabue.
Yeah.
Is the commissioner that I was thinking of. And yeah, he was 1989 to 2006. But yeah, I mean, he saw the league grow, but like I said, I think it was Pete Rozelle that really saw it back in the 70s, started and kind of into the 80s and really got the sport to grow. Anyways, Goodell, I don't know, they need to find a replacement for him.
Yeah, I agree with you. But then again, the NFL grew a lot too with him in there. But more overseas game. They're trying to get the football more worldwide, whatever.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is if they start focusing too much on that and growing the brand, you're losing sight of your core audience, and that's, I mean, us sitting here.
Right.
Yeah.
Not Nigel over in, well, I don't know. Couldn't even think of down in Great Britain. Why can't I? In the Commonwealth, yeah. Anyways.
Damn sometimers. I hate them.
Yeah. We kind of went on a tangent there, and I didn't really mean to, but moral of the story is that it would be a better presentation, better game if the NFL wasn't losing focus of what gets them. I mean, obviously fantasy football and gambling are really carrying the league.
Joe, you did
Okay.
better saying that than I would have. I would have been a little, you did.
I gotta toe the line, right? We gotta don't hate to.
Your
yeah,
phone's
don't wanna
gonna
go
ring.
either way.
NFL's gonna pick you up.
Well,
We
no,
need you
that's
as a
true.
speaker.
Yeah, no. Any other thing about the Super Bowl? I mean, it
No.
wasn't the most enjoyable.
I'm done with the Super Bowl.
I was full by the end of it. Ate plenty of food.
Who won the MVP, by the way?
I thought it was a running back for the Seahawks. Or
So
was
you sure it was Kenneth Walker. Let's see. I didn't really even pay attention to it, but like, how crazy do you think? And it was Kenneth Walker. How crazy do you think everybody would be, like your podcast guys you were talking about, if Sam Darnold won MVP, passing for 200 yards at 50% completion rate?
I don't know. I would give the MVP, even though it didn't win the game, to Drake May.
Are you just playing devil's advocate? Are you serious?
Well, the kid threw 300 yards against that defense. So, yeah.
Because they couldn't run and they were behind the whole time.
Well, still, he threw it.
I could throw the ball at my feet 300 too.
Yeah, completed some passes, but I just think like we saw. I mean, and we'll kind of go on to it, but we've seen stat pilers at quarterback before.
Oh,
Our buddy Kirk Cousins was one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Not meaningless games, just throwing for 300, 400 yards, or not throwing or making completions until you're well behind and you have no chance of winning.
Yeah. So it's.
Which brings us to the next topic of the backup quarterback possibilities that have been, being tossed out there. So there's Kirk Cousins, our buddies, was being mentioned. Kyler Murray's one of them that's being thrown out there. We just hopefully Call of Duty doesn't come out at any point when he's on the team. If he does get on the team, because he won't play well, and he'll spend most of his time playing Call of Duty. Allegedly, Mac Jones.
Yep.
There's another name they're tossing out there.
Okay.
I wouldn't. I mean, that's like pretty much our Ryan Kelly or center at quarterback as to he's had so many concussions. I mean, the NFL should, for his safety, not let him play.
Right.
I mean, what are the that we weren't looking at?
What came out the last couple of days? Mac Jones, the Pinners made a point that they don't have any plans or whatever to trade Max. But Kyle Murray,
Everybody has a price.
the only way that you possibly could, the Vikings could even think about picking him up if the Cardinals cut him. Now,
Because of the salary?
They said if
yeah,
Arizona
but
makes him
the bottom
available,
line, yeah, his salary is way more than the Vikings wanted to pay for Sam Darnold.
they're already predicting us, Minnesota cap. They're expecting us to go 40 to 50 million over our cap.
That's what they're talking about basically now. But what I heard is if you really look at it, it's not really that bad. But yeah, they're over the cap. They have to be compliant, even though they raised the cap to anywhere from 302 to $305 million.
Yeah.
But thing is, my point is, I would have to agree to some that, like Kyle Murray, if you sign him, that's the end of McCarthy. And besides that, I don't think Kyle Murray will fit into O'Connell's whatever. But Mac Jones,
might.
I think, is totally out of the question because the Vikings, if they trade a first rounder and plus for Mac Jones, well, then they're not doing any better than what Quasey was doing. So Cousin would be the only option if you could get him to agree to a backup quarterback salary and say, yeah, for competition, but, to make sure. But I don't know, to be honest with you. Now, is it David Carr or Derek Carr? The former
I think it's Derek. I think David was his brother. Yeah.
Yeah.
Played with the Texans.
Now, I think there's a scuttle out that been stated that he would come out of retirement if the right team pop up. And I think the Vikings is one of those.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, we had so many. I mean, were we looking at Mac Jones before? At one
We'll talk about him after the season. A lot of talk about it, or even during the season. Yeah, Vikings ought to trade for Mac Jones, but they're only talking like second rounder for him. But
Oh, really?
Well, no, yeah. Daniel Jones was. He went to the Colts. Mac
I was just saying.
Jones, the backup quarterback in San Francisco. He backed up Purdy when he got hurt, and he played really good. So
there's going to be a lot of stuff thrown out there. A lot of stuff is just clickbait stuff. A lot of stuff is just to write articles. And really, if you think about it, you can make any case of any quarterback in the league a possibility, right? I mean, I know I've even seen Joe Burrow still floated out there. I think if they're trading any first round picks, it would be for Joe Burrow. Should we look up? I mean, has anyone ever traded a first round pick for a backup?
I don't know that.
I don't remember anybody doing that because back in the days, any backup quarterback was those that have been in the league for a while and no longer, capable, I guess, to play a total season as a starter. Yeah.
No, when I was just going through talking about quarterbacks, I was just saying, we had multiple options. We had I think the A plan and B plan, C plan, but C plan wasn't really thought of. You know what I mean? Obviously,
Jones. Well, they offer Daniel Jones, in fact, a little bit more than what the Colts did, but he chose to go to the Colts because he had the opportunity to compete for the starting job. And the way Anthony Richards, their second-year quarterback, wasn't that great.
That's another name that the Vikings, there's been thrown around the Richardson coming to the Vikings.
Yeah, that's oxymoron.
Well,
and right.
Proves again, we don't want to. I mean, it's the reason, that they're in the position they're in. But Quasey was so married to the idea of having a quarterback on a rookie contract that he didn't want to spend money on a backup Sounds like KOC did. It sounds like if KOC wanted a backup, wanted either Sam Darnold to stick around or Daniel Jones to stick around, whatever was said to those two guys gave them the impression that it wouldn't be a true competition.
Yeah.
We're just going to be sticking around to back up.
The past, I thought Bridgewater, he would have been good too.
Yeah, and I mean,
We just let him go. Where's he at nowadays? I don't even know. Do you guys?
Well, the last time I heard, wasn't he a backup for the Lions?
I believe so. I know he played against the Vikings when they played Miami a couple of years ago. He was
Was it?
starting quarterback for Miami because Tua was injured.
Well,
Also, he was a backup or something down in Carolina, wasn't he? It seemed like.
you never know what we're gonna.
Anyways, the bottom line is, I can
He's
see
weird.
the point where the Vikings want a more of a veteran presence in the quarterback room. Now, the thing is, to be honest with you, I think they ought to give McCarthy a real good chance to redeem himself and hopefully not getting injured and play a full season unless he's totally like Anthony Richards that, yeah, you might as well throw in the backup, might do better than him. But what I'm saying is, you can't, I don't think it's really fair to give up on a kid. Now, if they do it, then that means O'Connell wasn't really all for McCarthy.
Which he wasn't. That was more Queesy's deal.
No, I think he was for, McCarthy because hell, they could have drafted Bo Nix.
McCarthy was dead set on Sam, from what I understood. I could be wrong, Dan.
I think well, there was word out there that they wanted Drake May and KOC wanted to trade up for Drake May.
Was it? Okay.
Well, that's what the alleged thing was. Yeah. KOC. Well, again, who knows, right? There's this.
The thing is, the Patriots, right? Drake May. Yeah. The issue is, I don't think you could have gave the Patriots enough capital in order to get Drake May because the Patriots were in a need of a quarterback.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing too is that they said that they couldn't match what the Patriots were asking for. But again, this is based off of insiders say. So, but again,
Right.
I mean,
You
I
know,
think that
yeah.
I mean, the main
so-
thing is in the discussion we're having is just the reason we don't want what happened last year where McCarthy's hurt, not able to play, and not having a viable backup because they brought in Wentz because they had no other option, really, at that time, at how late in the season they were. And I think they were hoping, thinking, praying that some other team cut or got rid of a veteran quarterback so they could sign him. Then all of a sudden they didn't have that. That wasn't available to them, so they called Carson Wentz, who was sitting on his couch, like, "Hey, come be our backup," which to continue your NFL career. And he didn't play that well. And again, there's always that conspiracy theorist in the back of my head that's always gonna be like, KOC did this on purpose. He called his, but again, he's trying to save his job too.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah,
you
I
look
think
at-
anyway.
Okay, let me ask you this. If Wentz was able to have nothing else, the whole training camp, would you think he would have played better than what he did?
if
I don't think.
if Wentz was there for training camp,
Yeah, the whole training camp.
no, I think they got stuck where they were and there was no other option. And so the option was JJ's the guy. Once they got to that point, they had no other option. That was the plan then. So they're
Mhm.
letting the plan sort itself out as opposed to having a plan and making the plan work for you. You're just kind of like, oh, I guess we'll do this.
No, the question I'm asking you, I can't think of the word to use.
You're saying that of
If-
would Wentz have started if he were there the whole time?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I'm saying that they never had planned on him starting.
They didn't
Yeah.
have any plans on maybe other than if O'Connell really wanted Darnold back. Other than that, I don't think any quarterback that they were hoping to bring in as a starter because Daniel Jones, I think, he left because he, like you said, he knew they're in Indiana.
He had a
and
better
that
opportunity.
place it'd be a competition. And he felt confident that he could beat out Anthony Richard, where he may not have got the actual competition with McCarthy. So my point is that, you know, I think regardless who they brought in, they would have had a competition. But if it was set up where Daniel Jones didn't have a legit chance of being a starter, it'd be the same as anybody else, unless they're a superstar.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing with Sam Darnold is he wanted a multi-year contract, and the Vikings weren't
Right.
going to give him multiple years. So that marks him off, right? You're not going to, you drafted the quarterback. That's, you made your bet, you're going to lie in it. So you're not going to sign that multiple year contract. Well, then they had Daniel Jones who signed that single year. Again, I mean, I think part of it was Daniel Jones, thinking he had a better chance, even if it was an open competition for both teams. He looked at the Colts as like, I have a better chance of beating that guy out to be the starter than I do this kid. So there is some talent and he does have some potential. But again, just in case break the glass scenario, you need to have somebody that can
Back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dane.
Understand. Yeah, I guess you and I are both on the same page, but saying it differently. Yeah. But
Again,
no,
though,
my
if it
point
were
is,
different times, again, that this is what happened, this is how it happened, so this is the decisions
yeah,
they made.
yeah.
And they got to a
Well,
point where they had no other choice but to name JJ the starter right off the bat, right going in the training camp.
but
So
see, what gets me for some of these people that were saying for Darno, well, I couldn't afford him, let him walk, and let's go with JJ and whatever. Now they're contradicting what they said at the end of last season when Darno couldn't do anything against the Lions, the last game of the season, and couldn't do nothing against the Rams during the playoff. And, that's the playoff. A lot of it had to do with the O-line. A lot of it had to do with the O-line during the Lions game, and here's the problem that, the quarterback gets blamed because Aaron throws because he got rushing in his face. Some quarterbacks will live for that, but anyways.
well, and I said at the time too, like it was part of it was KOC's to blame for part of that too.
Yeah.
You can't continue to, I mean, what's the definition of repeating the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, right? You got to change your play. Yeah, based on what they're doing to you, you got to change it up. You can't just keep running your intermediate routes down the middle of the field, hoping to get Justin Jefferson open on a crossing route when they're playing zone and they're just playing matchup zone with him. And I mean, you don't have the time to throw. I mean, part of it is on KOC, but again, not again. But I think going to keep moving this along, think of all the people. I mean, do I want them to trade for Joe Burrow? No, because they're just going to be in the same situation they were when they had Kirk Cousins. They're not, and they're gonna have less draft picks. But I mean, again, today's money, they're paying more, even more than they have with Kirk Cousins. So that was their issue. They couldn't put a competitive roster together because they're paying their quarterback so much money. Now, though, the funny thing is that Kirk Cousins, if he does sign, just knowing that he would be a backup, which he stayed in he really had no choice. But the Falcons have restructured his contract, so they're going to let him go anywhere he wants to. He could retire, though, but he'll still get paid money from the Falcons if he doesn't play next year. So whoever signs him, the Falcons are going to be paying part of his salary.
Yeah.
So the best look right now is signing Kirk Cousins. That's if Kirk Cousins will come here. That's like he'd have to tuck his tail between his legs and, come back.
Well,
I don't think he will.
About when he was at the Super Bowl at the Radio Row, and he'd been asked by different ones that would the Vikings, would he end up going to the Vikings next season? And he, with the grin, will say, "We'll see." So yeah, I think even though if it would put down that you're here for a backup and a tutor for McCarthy, but you'll be there backing him up. I think he even kind of hinted that he'd be willing to come to Minnesota to, even if it's for backup. But I don't know.
If you're a quarterback and there's a potential that you'd be a backup, and you saw the ups and downs JJ had last year, then you're like, oh, there's a chance I could start, or just based on his injury history. just not being able to stay healthy.
For being so young.
Unless the NFL handed out the script already and it's going to be Kirk Cousins going to the Vikings and they're going to go to the Super Bowl.
I'm pretty sure I saw that too, Joe. I don't know where I saw it, but yeah, I'll have to find it.
I wish I would have written in that script anyways.
You know when I wake up.
It's me. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But again, like if I had any money to bet on it or if I had a gun to my head, I would say Kirk Cousins.
I think they'd be better off if Kirk Cousins, like I said, be willing to come here to Minnesota on a backup deal, which is around 10, between 10 and 15 mil as a backup quarterback. But in the past, it's always been the big money,
And that's the thing. He'll chase the bag, wherever the bag is. I mean, there might be teams out there. Well, yeah, there might be teams out there that'll pay him starter money. Who knows? We'll have to see how it plays out. I don't know if they would he want to play. And I think at this point in his career, if he's got to know that like he can't continue to do that if he wants to win. And why would you play? I don't know. Why would you play any game? I know you're going to get paid millions of dollars, right? But why would you play if you're not going to win? I don't get. I mean, I'm too competitive. I even playing board games against the kids. I'm not just going to let them win. They gotta know that, Yeah. Any other thoughts before we move on?
No, I think we got this one worked over pretty good.
Well, I'm sure we'll hammer it out some other time.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of time. Moving on, and we kind of alluded to it, like kind of talked about Kwesi and his decision making. And again, we know more, but it could be people throwing him under the bus. Who knows? I think it kind of fits in closer to what we were talking about. So CBS Sports, I can't remember the writer. He went back and rated all teams' draft classes from last year. So this is another reason why Kwesi was let go, and we talked about his drafting. But we have the 30th out of 32 teams, 30th ranked draft class for last year. And again, we have a starting guard, and the other three players that were drafted really didn't see the field. So there's no contributors, which kind of played into this. But when you only have 4 picks, because again, you're trading away, you're wasting picks, you're losing value, this is what's going to happen. You're only going to have 4 picks. Again, we heard he got insight from others. Other people were in his ear. I think some of these people thought in the position they were in, oh, these are the players we want. So with that said, though, this is part of the reason why he was fired was this draft class from last year.
Yep.
I think overall it's because year after year that the draft class is drafting whatever wasn't all that good.
Nope.
That's a little bit of it. And what I heard was little bits and pieces of other things that went into the decision of letting him go. But the thing is, maybe it was that the Wilkes family wanted to be really diligent about the whole thing, that it took him so long to let him go, So they didn't jump the gun and announce 2 days after the season, Kwesi, you're fired, So I guess they wanted to make sure that they were going to make the right decision, It's hard to tell if they're right or wrong, but, hopefully.
It was a well-planned event, as we talked about in prior cast. I mean, it wasn't just, by dink-a-dink. They sent them packing down somewhere else so they all could meet up. And
That's it. It's a conspiracy to ship him down to the Senior Bowl. Yeah.
Well, so there's 2 ways to build a team.
JJ even drove him down there personally himself.
Might have been it. There's 2 ways to build a team: through the draft or through free agency. And for the longest time, everybody's like, "Oh, you got to draft. You got to draft." Well, the Eagles, when they won the Super Bowl in 2017, a lot of their players were free agents. They brought them in, so it wasn't. They had some success through the draft, and we've seen other teams like the Rams more recently, where they don't worry about drafting as well. But at the end of the day, like with the Vikings, like it contributes to their salary cap issue right now because they weren't able to draft contributors.
Yeah. I mean, we were under last year's.
Well, the talk at the Seahawks, a lot of their players were the last 3 years or whatever, since the time that the Seahawks traded Wilson to the Broncos and got all that draft capital to be able to draft in. Most of these players that the Seahawks drafted were playing in the Super Bowl. So,
Yeah.
Well, and that's the second wave of players that their GM John Schneider has put together to win the
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see if their defense plays as well next year, but they might be onto something where they're going to be competitive again for the next, 5 to 8 years. But
I was
again,
gonna
that's
say 3 to 4. Yeah, you never know.
well, if the Seahawks can find a good replacement for their OC,
and that's just it. I guess coaches sometimes, they do make a little bit more difference than you'd think. And he was a true OC, unlike somebody that we might know of.
I can't think of anyone.
No, I don't know. He was an OC in name only, then came from the Rams somewhere close. Any other thoughts on that? Again, it's kind of beating a dead horse a bit.
I need a raise.
Those dead horses should race. Mock drafts. So there's a bunch of mock drafts, and there will be until I think the draft's in April, right?
yep, the end of April.
So most of the mock drafts, and there was a thing, I think it was on Vikings.com, that were kind of compiling the mock drafts that were out there by the big names.
Yeah.
And the big names that are being thrown out there's two players. There's both corners, Colton Hood and Avion Terrell. Kind of I talked about earlier where like Key and Pill had like, made up names and it got crazier as they did with the player introduction, their little skit there. But
Yeah.
these players could be in there. I mean, I don't know anything much about
No,
college football.
Well,
don't
according to Thor, I think those are the couple toward to the top of the corners.
Which a corner is a big need,
Yeah.
and it has been for years, even with Zimmer, and we haven't had much success drafting corners in the first round in the last 20 years?
Pretty much. But then also, too, you got to take a look at the corners and safety. Got to get a safety, someone that's really intelligent and got the smarts like Harrison Smith and be able to play the game.
Well, hopefully we'll find that in Harrison Smith at least for one more year.
Well,
There's been
hopefully he does
an
come
announcement.
back. But I think instead of waiting to get another safety, I think the Vikings need to draft one at least by its second round.
Yeah.
If there's a top quality safety out of college, in the draft. And
Well, and there is Emmanuel McNeil Warren is another name that was thrown out there for the Vikings in these mock drafts. He's a safety. I thought I wrote down teams, but I don't think I wrote down teams. I remember even where they played for, at least for these first guys, or any of them actually. And then they got Lee Hunter, a D tackle. That's in a bunch of them, and Mike Washington's a running back. Lee Hunter's a defensive tackle, which they do need some beef in the middle.
right.
Since they got rid of Harrison Phillips. And then Mike Washington, the running back. And he's the only player I know where he used to play is Arkansas. So I'm not sure how well he played.
I wonder if he's see, the one that would really be good if the Vikings could get is Love. Now
No.
here's a running back.
What the world needs
Just
now is
love.
love.
Yeah.
More love.
You're gonna
Well,
Red drop.
the running back, the Vikings need to get one that can run the ball and also be able to catch passes. Same role as Aaron Jones. The only problem is, I think there's one or two that in college been used as, what do you call it?
misleading. No.
No, to get the catch passes out of the backfield. But they got basically the same speed as Mason.
So there's not any speedsters. They're mainly just ball control kind of.
Yeah, they can run the ball. They might be able to run a little faster, but they're more like, but if they go out from the backfield, give a chance to build up some speed, they can, anyways, that's what I caught so far. Now, if you go through, okay, there's almost 300 draft prospects coming out in the draft. Well, there's more than that, but there's over 500 of them from all different types and colleges, whatever. So it's hard to keep track of anybody. And a lot of them got different rankings on where they placed each player,
Well, they say you should draft the best player available, but then there's others that draft for need. Because right, so like the best draft guys say that, oh, you draft the best player available, but they like even like when you're watching the draft, or even now, oh, corners a need, running backs a need, safeties a
Right.
need. I mean, right?
Yeah.
So like I think right at that point you're like, okay, who's the best player available, and that's pick number 18, right? So you're not going to get that. You're not going to get love at number 18.
No, you would have to move up to basically the top 10, but he's probably gone before you hit number 7, you know?
Well,
So,
they do have 8 picks, and they're not used to having that many picks in the last few years. So something tells me they keep the 8 picks. You can move up and down though, right? And keep picks. You can trade. You can swap picks. I mean, I don't know if you're moving up into the top 10 though. You're going to be giving away
well,
picks. You're going to lose.
well, you're going to lose a couple first rounders, you know?
Yeah.
'Cause-
And we got plenty of time, plenty of podcasts. I just wanted to kind of start the conversation. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people are saying corner, which again, I haven't drafted a corner. I mean, the last time we had the 18th pick, we drafted Garrett Bradbury, and that didn't turn out too well for us.
Nope.
I mean, I just saw this too, this bit of news. Bill Musgrave, the old offensive coordinator for the Vikings, 2011, 2013, back during the Adrian Peterson days, is going to be the quarterbacks coach for the Jets. But I wish I were the offensive coordinator for the Vikings back during that time, because like I would have been awesome at it. Like
Yeah.
run 80 or Adrian Peterson, run him, off tackle to the right. Now run him off tackle to the left. Now run up the middle. Now
Yeah.
run to the...
Yeah.
And that was the period that we talked about too with Christian Ponder. So,
Yep.
but no, I just think it's just the old Viking relationship, or used to coach. So that's why I brought it up. But again, that would have been a pretty cake job. Last bit of fun news I saw was Randy Moss trademarked "You Got Mossed," and again, I think it has to have that Mossed with that apostrophe D at the end to fall under the trademark. So, not sure what he's going to do with it. People still say it.
Sounds
"You
like
got mossed."
he's going to start his own apparel line.
Was that what it is?
Yeah, he's going to do shoes, hats, sweatshirts, all kinds of stuff.
Hopefully it's better than what was that basketball, the Big Baller brand. I'm not sure if you know who that.
I heard of it, but I never really followed it anywhere.
Yeah, I think it's the Balls, LaMelo, D'Angelo. I don't even know all their names. They all start with an L and their last name is the Ball. So Baller. I guess anyways, they're like $200 shoes, and they'd like one of the guys in the NBA, and the shoes would just break, so he had like 20 pairs in his locker, so like he'd have to switch out shoes like every quarter, or at least at the half, because they would just fall apart because they were terrible.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, he should have just, branded years ago instead of, after the fact.
Yeah, I wonder what took him so long. He would have had a better, like you're saying, a better chance. But yeah, other than that, I don't have anything else, unless you guys can think of anything else.
I think we got it wrapped up for now.
Yeah, and like you said, I'll try to do keep track of draft prospects and whatever, so.
Yeah, as we get closer, I start looking, but I mean, I'm not an expert, so I'm watching film on a guy and like, oh, look how good he is, and then like he never again, it doesn't get drafted or ends up being, so.
Right.
There's been plenty of times where I've been all in on like a draft pick, like back in the day. I remember Justin Blackman, a wide receiver for Oklahoma State, that I wanted the Vikings to draft. Well, he got drafted by the Jaguars, and then like he got in a bunch of trouble, drinking, drugs,
Yeah.
and then was out of the league within a few years. So yeah, I'm not an expert, but yeah, no, we'll start paying more attention, and we'll have plenty of time to talk about it, because that's what we're gonna be talking about for the next couple of months.
Yeah.
Well, next up is the combine, and then league year. There's some players that'll either be cut or whatever the deal may be. So
Yeah,
we'll have a better idea.
We'll see where the restructures go and see where they can start saving some money, because otherwise they're not gonna be able to have a free agent class here.
Yeah, that's true.
With salary cap wise. Timberwolves traded for a couple players, so hopefully they'll make the playoffs. The Wild right now they're second in the league in points, but they're second in their division. The top three teams are in the same division. And hockey does weird seeding for the playoffs, so they might end up having to play the third team in the Central Division, the Western Conference, is the Stars. So they might end up having to play them in the first round, depending on if that's how they finish the season, win wise or point wise. So Just thought I'd do a recap since I didn't do the last time. And we'll see what the Twins do. Spring break is going to be coming up sooner than later. And then maybe I'll pick a CFL team. We can start rooting for them. I'm going with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
There you go.
They have a player, running back, Brady Oliveira. He played for the UND, the Fighting Hawks now, not the Sioux anymore. But so there's a bit of a, I don't know, somebody to root for there. With that, we'll see you next time.
All right, guys. See you next time. Take it easy.
Later, folks.
Skol, let's win the game.